Welcome to the Fulhamish Quick Take here on the Fulhamish YouTube channel. Dan Cook here after Fulham's 2-1 win away at Wigan Athletic in the fourth round of the FA Cup. The cup run goes on. I'm joined by Avais Malik. Dr. Avais, how are we doing?
I'm very well. Stop calling me doctor.
Absolutely not. I mean, I don't really know what to say about that game. It was where our game against Newcastle was a game of two halves. So was today.
Yeah.
We come away with a 2-1 win, but we were hanging on at the end.
Yeah, it was a strange old game. That first half, very simple. We were dominant from start to finish. Lovely goal from Muniz. What an assist by Assess. But that second half, that first 10-15 minutes, reared its head again. Bit of a struggle for us once again. And Wigan, to be credit to them, they were all over us for a decent period of time in that second half, but edged out the win with our quality in the end.
Yeah. I think Wigan, huge amount of credit, as you're right. The first half, Fulham controlled that first 45 minutes. It was so one-sided. It felt like a training match at times. We had something in the region of 80 to 85% possession, and we're having a fun time.
It was a lovely day out. It was a nice away day up here. It's actually a really nice area, Wigan, nicer than I expected it to be. And stadium was nice. The crowd was up for it, and we had a nice pocket of home fans right in the corner. When we have a nice back and forth. It was a lovely first half. I think we dominated. Like, our quality shone, and it was quite clear that we were the better team. I felt like we could have created a bit more, to be perfectly honest, but I think we did enough in that first half to really control it. And it just so happened that first period, the second half, was where we lost our control. And unfortunately, the second half, they made a game of it, and we made them have more of a game of it. But, when you have someone as class as Muniz, the composure he showed for that second goal, which has been reminiscent of his second half style in this season, we're always going to be in this game comfortably, and it showed.
Yeah. Coming into the just selection to start with, I was a little bit disappointed. I'll be honest. 10 changes. It was a weakened team. It's always going to be when you make 10 changes, and it felt like we maybe weren't taking this as seriously as we probably should be.
The initial feeling is it's a Preston 2.0. The amount of changes that we made is the flow of the team there, especially like someone like Harrison in the centre of the park, hasn't played a full 90 in how long, to try and dominate that midfield is always going to be a bit of a question. But in that first half, as I say, we controlled it, but I feel like we could have made a few more changes and brought our starting 11 into the second half a bit sooner, maybe try and take control back from them when they started to come in. And to be fair, we've got to give them credit. That goal that they scored, absolutely superb. But one thing to say about it is Stephen Bender. My gosh, that was like David Raya in the playoff final. The delay in the dive to try and save it. The less we speak about him, the better, I would say, because a couple of other moments later on that he was a bit dodgy. But I think the quality of our squad just shone through, and by the end, we were the better team, clearly.
Yeah, big shout out to Johnny Smith for an absolute perler. And if anyone watched Elizabeth's preview with Barry, he warned us. Yeah. Marco wasn't watching. He said Johnny Smith has got an absolute wand of a left foot, and my word, that was as good as it gets from a left-footed player. That is a la Harry Wilson, a la Ian Robin, a la Mo Salah. It was superb. Yeah, I think Stephen Bender could make it look like he was trying to save it, but I still don't think he's getting there at full stretch. Yeah. And at that point, it was really game on. I thought Wigan played that second half in a way that I expected them to play the whole game. I think Sean Maloney must have had a word with him at half-time and said, look, you've got to put something on them. And as much as I disliked it, they laid some on our boys. They put in some heavy challenges. They got the crowd up. It was textbook how you play as an underdog in an FA Cup game. And we owe a lot of credit to a brilliant bit of play from Andreas Pereira and Rodrigo Muniz to drag us out of this game.
Yeah. That's the second time in almost two consecutive games that the two of them combined to save our skin. And the second half, they were playing towards that raucous crowd of theirs in the corner, and it clearly showed they were sucking the ball in towards where we were standing up. From our vantage point, the moment Smith struck that, we knew it was going in. It was such a perler. But Pereira, I thought, actually had a pretty good game. I thought his energy was really, really good, pressing up from the top. And that ball was superb, perfectly weighted, so that Muniz just let it come across him, one-touch composure to finish. Absolutely brilliant. And the most important part of that goal was it was about 4 or 5 minutes after their goal, when they were up for it, having scored that goal. It really dampened their noise, and it really allowed us to then control a bit more of the game. Yeah,
Roddy Muniz brace, 3 goals in his last 135 minutes of football, less than. He led the line pretty well today. It was a tough challenge, not necessarily because they were the best centre backs in the world that he'd come up against, but they roughed him up. They made it hard, and he never backed down.
No, not at all. And what is it about this time of year where the purple patch for Muniz kicks in? I wore it for him just today. But yeah, this time of the year, he seems to click into another gear, and he was excellent. And I thought as much as they harassed him, he harassed them back, and he held his own there. And I want to shout out specifically Ryan Sessegnon. I think he was superb at left back. There was a moment actually when he was covering at right back when they had a break on one of their pacey wingers was trying to beat everyone, and he stuck his foot out brilliantly to stop what could have easily been a second goal for them. I thought he was superb. The way that he took that assist was excellent as well. Up and down there, absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think Sess, in both FA Cup games, by virtue of the fact that we're dominating the ball, it allows him to impact the game in the final third much more, which is where we know he's best. But he did defend really well today, and he gets an assist. He puts in, I don't know, is it a man of the match performance? Is there anyone else who looked better than him?
I thought he was probably the man of the match for me. I thought Muniz obviously scores 2 goals. He's obviously in the question. Diop was very solid. Cuenca very solid, but didn't have a huge amount to do necessarily. Diop could have scored a header, which would have been lovely, and the slice afterwards that went over our heads was quite funny. But no, I'd give it to Sess personally, with Muniz being a very close second, even though he scored twice. I love Sess.
The reason I laugh is because at 2-1, there is a moment where maybe we aren't talking about Issa Diop's potential for man of the match, having played really well, as he is so close to putting the ball in his own net. From where we were stood, it looked like it had gone in. It was like everyone's hand went on head. It was like, oh, Issa.
The net to ripple. Because where else is that ball going to go? And suddenly it balloons over the bar. How did that even happen? Where's the physics to that? It was absolutely crazy.
Only Issa Diop could pull that off. And actually, if you decide to ignore the luck element of it, it's fantastic defending. Back towards his own goal, sticks a foot out, kicks it into the ground and over the bar, probably unintentional, but superb defending. And there were a couple of other hairy moments. I think with the last thing that probably happened in this game of note was a shot from distance, one of several shots from distance from Wigan, and I think they sensed a weakness in Stephen Bender, and they kept going, and credit to them, they spotted that and they targeted it. He spills. It's a difficult one because it bounces right in front of him, but we get away with it.
He's got to do better. He's a Premier League goalkeeper supposedly, and he's dropping that ball in the 93rd minute FA Cup game right into the feet of a striker. That's unacceptable. But I also got to say that they also targeted Timmy quite a lot in that game as well. I'm a bit worried about how he was. Maybe he's tired. Maybe it's because they're playing the ball inside of him and it's always hard for him to turn. But I also felt like he was quite exposed today as well. And without obviously the elephant in the room not having a backup, it poses another question for Marco. I mean, obviously he's got a week's rest here and he needs a lot of confidence back, I think. But it was hairy, as you say, for quite a bit of that second half. And there was also a strike that one of their players said that was like an outside swerved right foot shot that Bender managed to save somehow. But yeah, they were, credit to them, they were up for it that second half.
Proper cup tie, that one. Yeah. Thoroughly enjoyed it. I think ultimately the way we've got to look at it, professional job done, players rested, big game coming up against Forest at the weekend. We probably couldn't have asked for much more.
Hard to be upset with tonight. It was a lovely day, scored 2 very good goals and lots of fun chanting. What more could you ask for an FA Cup game?
Yeah, agreed. And just to end...
Come on, you Spurs! Come on, you Spurs!
Cheers, lads. Just to end, I want to say thank you to Wigan. I think what a town. Cracking folk. I've spoken to so many Wigan fans today and every single one of them were brilliant, so nice, so genuine. These are the sort of FA Cup ties you want.
Yeah, I was really happy to come up here. I've never been up to Wigan and been a very hospitable town. Lovely to come up here as well. Even though it took 4 or 5 hours, it's worth the journey. If ever we play up here again, it's worth coming.
Agreed. Thank you very much for watching the Quick Take here on the YouTube channel. I want you to put down in the comments, who do you want in the 5th round of the FA Cup? Because we're getting into the meaty point now. There are some difficult ties in there. There are also some slightly friendly ones still knocking about, so keep your eyes open for that draw on Monday night. I'm just saying, Burnley.
Never been. I want to go. Hear about the Cricketers Club a lot. I'm happy to come up here again.
Fulham against Burnley. Scott Parker against Marco Silva. They won 1-0 away at Southampton. That would be a tasty 5th round tie. But put in the comments, who do you want as we march on towards Wembley? Avais, thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me. Lovely day.
Thank you for watching. Go you Whites.